Stephen Mashevsky here, and we're doing a head-to-head of myself versus Rich Froning. This workout is 100s, so it's a 100 wall balls, 100 chest to bar pull-ups, 100 pistol squats, and then 100 dumbbell snatches with a 32.5 kilo dumbbell. So this workout is from 2013, the live stream of the Central East Regional where Rich Froning was dominating. He was in the middle of his 4-year CrossFit Games title, and the reason for this video series is basically to showcase how far athletes have come since over a decade ago, 2013. So, a bit about myself. I'm a semi-finals level athlete, finishing 10th place at the Australian Regional, the Torian Pro, whereas Rich Froning is the top athlete in the entire world back in 2013, and I'm here to try to bust the myth that Rich Froning would be competitive against today's top athletes, or even the question of whether peak Rich Froning would be fitter than peak Matt Fraser. I'm here to try to showcase that no, Rich Froning wouldn't stand a chance against Matt Fraser or today's top athletes. So that begins by hopefully beating Rich Froning here in this workout, but we'll see how we go. And then along the way, I want to point out some little tips and tricks and hacks, some of which weren't around back in Rich Froning's day. Such as, you'll see all the athletes hold their arms up in the air as they do their wall balls. Some of them bring them down a little bit, but then I do the big Brent Fikowski arm swing, which just allows the lactic acid to not build up in the shoulders and the blood to flow nicely to the fingertips. It's a lot easier. Now, as you can see, we're 2/3 of our way through our wall balls. We're all going at about the same pace because you can't really speed up wall ball reps, and 100 reps even for athletes back in 2013 wasn't too much of a problem. So my strategy for the wall balls is to go a set of 30, then 25, 20, 15 and 10. So I'm doing negative sets, so it's easier mentally and physically to pick it up each and every time, allowing me to keep my rest breaks pretty short, even ideally aiming for just a quick 1 or 2 or 3 breaths. Whereas some of these other guys would be doing 5 sets of 20, 4 sets of 25, something equal, so it doesn't necessarily get easier for them each time. I'm trying to take advantage of negative splits. And over on Rich Froning's competition, the first guy, the tall guy, he's almost done, CJ Walker. I'm actually keeping pace with him. Probably my rest breaks are just slightly quicker than his, so I'm actually at the top of the pack coming off the wall balls. But again, we're all pretty even. So I'm done with my first movement, the 100 wall balls, at about 3 minutes 30, and I'm straight up for a set of 20 chest to bar pull-ups.
And on the pull-up bar, but as we've seen in the past, just because you're first to the bar doesn't mean you're going to be the first off of it. Now in lane 6, Rich Froning getting to work on his chest.
And Rich Froning's just starting his pull-ups now. He opens, I think, with a set of 10. So I'm doing bigger sets. I think I go a set of 20, then 2 sets of 15, followed by 5 sets of 10. Whereas Rich Froning and the other athletes, they're just chipping away at it, because 100 reps for them is a momentous task, so they've got to just do little sets of 5. My technique is a lot more proficient than theirs. You can see some of the athletes kicking their knees up a little. Even Rich Froning hasn't got the butterfly technique down pat yet, partly because at this point it hasn't been in play for more than 2 or 3 years. So I've got big, sweeping, fluent movements, using my whole body to propel me up.
Problem, he's a bigger athlete, 195 pounds, but pull-ups are not an issue for him. He has an uncanny ability for a lot of those body weight movements to do so well at them, and then so well when he's doing any kind of weighted movements as well.
So Rich Froning through 39, now through 40. Chris Walker is through 38. And Froning started off with a 5th place finish in Jackie. It's a little deceiving there because all the top 5 were within less than a second of each other, but then he set an event record on number 3, and he finished second.
So I must be through about 70 reps now, so I'm actually getting a little bit of a lead on Rich Froning. He's only halfway through his pull-ups. And again, Rich Froning is breaking about 15 times throughout the entire 100 reps, whereas I'm only breaking about 7 or 8 times.
54. Scott Panchik currently sits in 2nd place, and it's Dan Bailey now moving into 3rd. We approach the 6-minute mark, 25-minute time cap, and so far only 2 men in this region have completed this event inside the 25-minute time cap. Scott Panchik, 2nd overall, best finish in event 2, where he took 2nd place, as yet to finish outside of the top 7.
Look at that. All these guys are moving smoothly, though, for those sets of 5. And look how short that rest is. Counting himself down to probably 5 seconds and then getting right back on the bar.
Rich Froning through 70 reps. He is about 6 ahead of Scott Panchik, and now Dan Bailey moving up as well. Nick Forey is there, as is Marcus Hendren. Graham Holmberg, only 8 reps separating those men, but it's Rich Froning squarely in the lead with 75 chest-to-bar pull-ups down.
You know, all these guys, even Graham Holmberg right there, I think they've all employed that sets of 5 as they're making their way through. Again, what's important is keeping that rest time down. And you know what's so great? These guys are such smart athletes. They're not getting...
So I've just finished my set of 100, and now I'm jogging over to the pistols. I like to transition fast, especially if I'm going from using one muscle group to another. I find there's no need to rest and grab chalk or walk over, catch breath. Because they're not necessarily super high heart rate movements. It's more of a muscle fatigue type workout. And I've tried to lay out the floor plan similar to exactly the same to what Rich Froning had to do. So I'm transitioning the same distance and doing the same sets of 20 pistols before moving forward. Rich Froning's just done now. I must have about a 40-second lead on him. And we'll see how his pistols are.
Rich Froning is onto the one-legged squats. He's the first athlete there, and going right into that movement as we approach the 8-minute mark.
So we can already tell that my pistols are quicker than his. He is sort of lowering himself down, breathing at the top. I like to sort of drop a bit and get a little bit of a bounce out of the hole. And this movement is no stress for me.
Distance during the pistols. It's going to happen during the snaps, but, you know, he's well ahead right now, and I think that's going to work in his favor without a doubt.
In lane 7, it's Scott Panchik now moving on to the one-legged squats.
Yeah, I was just going to say, it's just a matter of, is he going to chase Jason's record or not? He said he's not worried about event records right now. He just wants to win so he can get himself to the games. But I don't know. I think everybody likes to be on top.
Now, Rich Froning has completed his first set of 20, and Dan Bailey will be the 3rd man to the one-legged squats, and Nick Forey is there as well. So more and more athletes.
So I'm through already about 60 reps. As for my movement standards, it would be good to have a judge with me to make sure I'm doing them all correct. Maybe next time I'll get my coach to judge me, and he can help give some tips and tricks at the end with me as well. The plan is to go through quite a few different workouts featuring Rich Froning, maybe even some other athletes, and trying to duke it out with him and beat him.
Jason Khalifa, 20 minutes and 15 seconds, and Froning continues to move here. No sign of slowing down for the 2-time defending CrossFit Games champion.
You know, when we talk about the CrossFit Games champion, he's the fittest man on the planet, or at least it has been the last 2 years. What we're looking at in the CrossFit realm is fitness. How much work can you do?
You can see Rich Froning's through 50 pistols. I'm through about 90, so I have a 40 pistol lead. So I've managed to pull ahead of him quite a bit here.
All these different events.
You would not expect a man to put 315 pounds over his head and squat it and then go and set an event record in a movement like a burpee muscle up. But that's exactly what he did yesterday in events 2 and 3, and now it looks like he might be chasing down another event record.
I'm doing a slower transition here. I've got a big heavy weight coming up and I want to chalk up my hands a little bit.
For second place, and right now it's Scott Panchik, Dan Bailey, Nick Forey, and Graham Holmberg all fighting for second place as Rich Froning, the man in front in the middle of your screen, continues to widen his lead over the man on the right in the red shoes and no shirt. That is Scott Panchik, who came into this event second overall.
You know, they're just not going to be able to catch him. Everyone's going rep for rep, so there isn't going to be a whole lot of movement. Unless they stay pace with Rich, he's going to actually advance a little further here, but that's not what these other athletes want. They want to reel him in, so they need to pick up the tempo. I'd expect someone like Dan Bailey, a little bit shorter legs, to really pick it up here and try to catch Rich into the dumbbells.
Rich Froning is through 80 reps of his alternating one-legged squats. After this, it's the final movement, 170-pound dumbbell snatches.
So my plan is to do 10 sets of 10. I actually began though with a set of 11, but the reasoning is obvious because I'm moving forward every 20 reps. So I want to finish on a multiple of 10. And then 10 is that perfect number where I'm still got a few reps in the tank, but my movement isn't slowing down yet. And I'm going touch and go, alternating hands in the air. I'm doing a power snatch, and as Rich Froning comes over, belts up, and grabs the dumbbell, we'll be able to see his technique compared to mine. So Rich Froning is doing singles, which is a lot slower, but also less stress on the energy systems. He's also putting his hand on his knee to help. His non-working hand is on his knee to help alleviate some tension, which is actually not allowed these days, which is why I'm not doing it. He's also muscle snatching, just yanking it straight up there, whereas I'm doing a bit more of a full body movement. I'm more jumping it up and then dipping under into that power snatch.
Dan Bailey and Scott Panchik for second place. Holmberg's through 80 reps. He's 5 back of Panchik.
Now, of these guys, last year when they were doing that...
And the two techniques are quite different. I'm going sets of 10, then resting a good amount of time, because it's such high energy output going unbroken, whereas Rich Froning is chipping away through. And I seem to be about 20 reps ahead of him. I'm on 40, he's on 20. Let's see if I can maintain this lead.
Froning. Yeah, usually if you're behind Rich Froning, you stay there. He does not let people catch him, and now he is through his first set of 20 one-arm dumbbell snatches. We're past 13 minutes. Again, the event record is 20 minutes, 15 seconds, and Dan Bailey looking really tired right there as he works his way through his final one-legged squat. Bailey putting on a belt, and he will move to the dumbbell snatches. Nick Forey right next to him is also...
So Rich Froning is having very short rests, if any. I'm having very long rests, but you can see my cycle rate is probably twice as fast as his. And we seem to be getting through them at about the same speed. I'm still 20 reps ahead of him.
His event record of 20 minutes, 15 seconds.
You know, the fact that he's holding... I thought maybe he'd break it up into sets of 10. He's virtually going for sets of 20 without stopping. I mean, he hasn't even slowed down at all yet.
Now, Froning needs to be careful on the descent. If that dumbbell bounces too much, he may get a no rep. They have to control that dumbbell on the way down, but he hasn't been penalized for it yet. Capacity crowd looking on. They may be getting set to witness another event record here at the Ohio Expo Center in Event 4 of the Central East Regional, and you can see just how many people are packed into this facility for this regional competition. We're not even at the games yet.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's virtually a who's who in CrossFit. But the fact that these...
So I'm through 60, Rich Froning's through 40.
In his heat finish, they're just not slowing down. You can see how much more fit these guys here in the front are across the whole world virtually. We've only had 10% of the guys actually finish this event. We had 2.
So Rich Froning's actually gaining on me a little bit. He's only 12 reps behind now, but then I pick it up again and will launch myself far ahead of him again. And I'm looking at the clock every now and then here just to make sure I'm well on pace to stay in front of him.
2 reps now. Scott Panchik next to him. On the right of your screen, Panchik currently in 2nd place. On the left of your screen is Graham Holmberg. Holmberg right now in 4th, and Dan Bailey on the far right of your screen currently sits in 3rd place overall. But right now it's Rich Froning running away with this heat, running away with this event, and possibly steamrolling another event record. Jason Khalifa currently holds it in 20 minutes 15 seconds.
Rich Froning's through 60. I'm on my set. That'll get me up to 80.
16 minutes down in this event. 4 minutes to go for Froning if he wants to chase down Jason Khalifa's event record.
You know, I think he's just composing himself right there because he knows exactly how much time he has. Every time he steps on that number, he virtually goes unbroken. He doesn't rest until he's moving that dumbbell. So the fact that he's holding this together right now, he knows exactly what he needs to do, and he is right on time for that. Perfect tempo to actually catch Jason.
The time to beat, no concern for Rich Froning, 24:07. That's Mitch Barnard.
The plan here is to finish with a big set of 20, because why not? The workout's almost done, might as well empty the tank. And interestingly, the world record at the time, before Rich Froning tackles this event, is 20 minutes by Jason Khalifa, which we're well ahead of. And then the event record for this region was about 24 minutes prior to Rich Froning's heat, so we're miles and miles ahead of that. So again, it just showcases that semi-finals level athletes today are leagues ahead of where they were back then, and even better than the top athletes in the world, as we see finishing up around 17:15.
There's now everybody about 6 deep at the rails. They're packed in the stands, and they're watching one of the best performances we've seen so far across any regions here in this event. And Rich Froning on his final set, 17 minutes, 30 seconds gone by, the event record, 2015. Froning taking a quick break, and now he'll get back to work on the dumbbell. Rich Froning in 1st place. He already has 2 wins so far. He already has 1 event record. He did that yesterday, and now he's looking for his 3rd win of the competition and his 2nd event record in as many events.
I want to know if he's going to be able to go all 20 straight right here. That's what he needs to do if he wants to hit that record. He doesn't need to beat the rest of the crowd right now. He already here. He's done that. Is he going to chase that record? Is he going to give this crowd a show? Look, everyone's got their phones up. They want to record this record being broken.
Rich Froning can make a trip to the concession stand and come back.
So it is definitely a tough workout, as we see Rich Froning struggling, and I'm even having a little throw up after the event, so it's definitely not easy. Yeah, so as Rich Froning finishes here, it's interesting to see that I'm a good way ahead of him. We're going to be tackling a whole bunch of other workouts featuring Rich Froning, and we'll see if we can pull off another W against him for these upcoming workouts.
3 to go for Froning as the crowd is counting him down. Froning is done. Move over Jason Khalifa. The defending champ is strolling his way to an event record.